Let's get real. There's nothing more painful than realizing you were never his priority. You gave your time, your heart, your energy, and in return, you were treated like a backup plan, a convenience, an option. But here's what no one tells you. The moment you stop fighting for someone who doesn't fight for you, you instantly start becoming the prize. Right now, you might be stuck in a cycle of wondering what you did wrong. Should you have texted more? Should you have tried harder? Should you have waited longer? The answer is no. You don't need to do more for someone who didn't see your worth in the first place. This isn't just about making him regret it. This is about reclaiming your energy, your power, your self-respect. And by doing that, you naturally trigger the deepest regret in his mind. But you're not doing it to win him back. You're doing it because you finally understand you were the prize all along. In this video, I'm going to show you the psychological shifts that make him realize what he lost. The silent but powerful moves that flip the dynamic, where he starts chasing you, questioning his choices, and regretting every moment he treated you as an option. But here's the catch. You won't need to play games. You won't need to fake anything. You'll learn how to become unavailable in a way that feels natural, powerful, and completely authentic. By the end of this, you'll not only make him regret it, you'll realize you don't even need him to validate your worth. You are the prize. It's time you start acting like it. Sometimes the hardest thing to accept is that he treated you like an option, simply because you allowed him to. Not because you weren't worthy, not because you weren't beautiful enough, smart enough, or valuable enough, but because, whether you realized it or not, your actions told him you would always be there. You might not have said it out loud, but every time you overextended, every time you forgave without real change, every time you prioritized him over yourself, you unknowingly sent the message, you don't have to choose me. I've already chosen you. The truth is, people don't value what's always available. When something feels guaranteed, it feels replaceable. When someone knows you'll keep showing up no matter how little they invest, they stop putting in effort because they don't feel like they could lose you. That's how men slip into the dangerous habit of treating you like an option. Not because they set out to hurt you, but because they believe they can. Most men aren't consciously saying, I'm going to take her for granted. Instead, it happens gradually. It starts when you text first, when you answer immediately, when you adjust your schedule for him, when you lower your standards just to keep him around. One small compromise at a time, and suddenly you find yourself in a space where you're doing most of the emotional work, while he does the bare minimum. You chase connection, he chases convenience. And here's the cruel part, he may even know you're special. He might know you're a good woman, but as long as you keep giving your best to someone who's giving you their least, he has no reason to value you differently. Men don't respect what they don't fear losing. Deep down, you might have thought that by being loyal, by being patient, by showing him unconditional support, you would eventually earn his full attention. But love is not earned by endurance. It's not earned by waiting for him to wake up. Sometimes the more you tolerate, the less they appreciate. He doesn't see your patience as love. He sees it as permission. And the painful truth is, he treated you like an option because you taught him that you would accept that role. You showed up when he didn't. You stayed when he gave you mixed signals. You forgave him when he barely apologized. And while your heart did this because you cared, his mind took it as a green light to keep you on standby. Some men will breadcrumb you, just enough attention to keep you hoping, but never enough to fully commit. And as long as you keep accepting crumbs, they will never offer the feast. They will never step up when they feel they don't have to. Here's what you need to understand. Men are wired to pursue. They naturally desire what feels exclusive, what feels slightly out of reach. When you're too available, too predictable, you kill the thrill of the chase. You become a fixture in his life, not a priority. You can't inspire respect from a position of emotional desperation. You can't force someone to value you by proving you're willing to wait forever. The man who truly values you won't risk losing you. And the man who's treating you like an option doesn't fear losing you because you haven't given him a reason to. That's the harsh truth. He treated you like an option because you gave him the comfort of always being there. The moment you stop showing up the same way, the moment you reclaim your energy, everything shifts. Suddenly your absence speaks louder than your presence ever did. And that's when regret begins. Emotional detachment isn't about pretending you don't care. It's not about building walls, being cold, or shutting off your heart. It's about learning to protect your peace while still feeling everything fully. When someone treats you like an option, the most powerful response is to detach, not to punish them, but to save yourself. Mastering emotional detachment starts when you stop making their validation your lifeline. So many women fall into the trap of tying their worth to whether he texts back, whether he calls, whether he shows up. You start living in this anxious waiting room, hoping for him to finally see your value. But here's the truth. Every time you emotionally invest in someone who's not investing in you, you abandon yourself a little bit more. Detachment is about pulling your energy back. It's about no longer offering your heart, your time, your attention to someone who hasn't earned it. It's about realizing that loving someone doesn't mean tolerating being treated like a backup plan. You can love deeply, but you must also love wisely. The moment you start to detach, everything changes. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop waiting for reply. You stop replaying conversations in your head. You stop obsessing over what he's doing, who he's with, or whether he's thinking about you. You start coming home to yourself. Your mind becomes quieter. Your heart becomes lighter. And you start realizing that his attention is not your oxygen. Detachment isn't instant. It's a practice. It's choosing, moment by moment, to put yourself back at the center of your life. It's catching yourself when you're tempted to send that long message. It's resisting the urge to check his social media. It's understanding that your silence can speak volumes. When you stop feeding energy into the connection, you create a gap, a silence that forces him to feel your absence in a way he never did before. You see, when you're emotionally attached to someone who's inconsistent, you start to believe that their crumbs are a feast. You settle for fragments of their attention. But when you detach, you realize you never needed to beg for what should have been freely given. Detachment doesn't make you less loving. It makes you more discerning. It means you start giving your energy to people who reciprocate, who respect, who prioritize. It means you become unavailable to bare minimum behavior. You no longer accept excuses as connection. You stop negotiating your standards just to keep someone who wouldn't lift a finger to keep you. The beautiful thing about emotional detachment is that it gives you back your power. When you are no longer emotionally dependent on his validation, you become unpredictable. You become someone he can't control, someone he can't read, someone he can't take for granted. And that's when his mind starts racing. That's when he begins to question why you're not chasing anymore, why you're not waiting anymore, why your energy feels distant and unfamiliar. When you detach, you create mystery, you create space, and in that space, you force him to face his own feelings. Without your constant reassurance, maybe for the first time he has to sit with the possibility of losing you. And that's where regret begins to grow. But here's the best part. You're no longer detaching to get a reaction. You're detaching because you're finally protecting your peace. You're stepping out of survival mode. You're choosing you. When you master emotional detachment, you stop being the option. You stop being the fallback. You start being the prize. The woman who knows her worth so well that she refuses to settle for less than she deserves. And whether he regrets it or not, no longer controls you. You've already won. Walking away is not about making a dramatic exit. It's not about slamming doors or sending long, emotional paragraphs explaining why you're leaving. Walking away with confidence is quiet. It's steady. It's powerful because it comes from a place of self-respect, not revenge. And when you do it right, it leaves an impact that echoes in his mind far longer than any angry words ever could. The reason most people struggle to walk away is because they're still clinging to hope. Hope that he'll change. Hope that he'll wake up and suddenly realize what he's losing. Hope that if they just love him a little harder, he'll finally come around. But the painful truth is this. The longer you stay in a situation where you're being treated like an option, the more you teach him that he doesn't need to change. Your presence rewards his behavior. Your loyalty becomes permission. Walking away is about choosing yourself in the most unapologetic way possible. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about realizing that the longer you wait, the harder it gets to leave. Every extra day you give someone who's not showing up for you is another day you betray your own standards. Confidence doesn't always feel loud when you walk away. Sometimes it feels terrifying. Sometimes your hands shake. Sometimes your heart aches. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward even when fear is present. It's trusting that leaving something unhealthy is better than clinging to what's comfortable but damaging. When you walk away with confidence, you don't chase. You don't beg for closure. You don't try to prove your worth on the way out. You simply leave with your dignity intact. And that silence speaks volumes. When you stop arguing, when you stop explaining, when you stop giving him chances to fix it, suddenly he feels the shift. He feels the door close. He feels your energy leaving. And that's when it hits. See, people don't fully realize what they've lost until they can't feel your energy anymore. As long as you're still emotionally available, as long as you're still responding, still hoping, still checking in, you're still present in his life, even if physically you start to pull away. Real walking away happens when you disconnect emotionally. That's when it stings. That's when regret settles in. Walking away with confidence isn't about punishment. It's about protecting your peace. You no longer wait for someone to choose you when you've already chosen yourself. And ironically, it's in your absence that most people start to understand your value. When you leave with grace, you leave a lasting impression. You're not burning bridges out of anger. You're simply refusing to cross them anymore. You're not creating distance to hurt him. You're creating distance to heal yourself. And sometimes the biggest surprise is that the person who once treated you like an option will start chasing you once you're truly gone. But by then you'll realize you're not walking away to pull him closer. You're walking away because you deserve more. You're walking away because you've outgrown waiting. You've outgrown settling. You've outgrown trying to make someone see what should have been clear from the beginning. Walking away with confidence is the ultimate reset. It shifts the energy. It forces both of you to see the situation for what it really was. And whether he regrets it or not becomes irrelevant, because you're already moving toward a version of yourself that knows she is the prize. And sometimes when you finally walk away, you realize you don't even want him to follow. You're already free. Silence is one of the most underestimated powers you can ever hold in a relationship. When someone treats you like an option, they expect your noise. They expect your reaction, your questions, your endless attempts to fix things. They expect you to explain, to chase, to fill the empty spaces with words that try to hold everything together. But what they never expect is your silence, your distance, your complete emotional withdrawal. The moment you stop explaining yourself is the moment you start commanding respect. When you remove your words, you remove their comfort. Silence creates a vacuum they didn't prepare for. Suddenly they're no longer sure what you're thinking, what you're feeling, or whether you're even still interested. And that's what starts to haunt them. See, when you constantly reach out, when you constantly clarify your feelings, when you make yourself endlessly available, you give them certainty, and certainty breeds complacency. They know you're there, so they stop valuing the connection. But silence feels unfamiliar. It feels like something is slipping away. It forces them to pay attention in ways your words never could. There's a difference between using silence to punish and using silence to protect. When you go quiet, you're not trying to manipulate him into chasing you. You're creating space for yourself to breathe, to think, to reset. But what happens in that space is powerful. It gives him time to wonder. It makes him question. It forces him to feel the weight of your absence. Most people aren't afraid of losing you. They're afraid of losing access to you. When you fall silent, you take that access away. You interrupt the pattern he's become comfortable with. And that's when his mind starts replaying everything. He starts wondering why you're not calling, why you're not checking in, why your energy feels distant. And whether he says it or not, he feels it. Mystery is born in silence. When you stop oversharing, when you stop offering your every thought, when you no longer feel the need to constantly reassure him, you become magnetic. You become unpredictable. You become someone he can't easily read anymore. And men are drawn to what they don't fully understand. They chase what feels just out of reach. When you're too accessible, when you explain every emotion, when you reveal every detail, you remove all the intrigue. You become emotionally solved in his mind. But when you allow some silence, when you hold some of yourself back, you invite curiosity, you create tension, you become someone he wants to figure out again. Silence also gives you clarity. It helps you see the situation for what it really is. It allows you to notice whether his actions shift without your constant reminders. It reveals whether he truly cares or if he only cared when you were constantly giving. Sometimes silence is the only thing that shows you the truth, because people's real feelings surface when you stop guiding the conversation. The beautiful thing is, the power of silence doesn't require you to do anything loud. You don't need to block, to lash out, to make announcements. You just quietly pull your energy back and let the space do the talking. And here's what usually happens: if he valued you, he will feel the absence immediately. He will move toward you. He will start filling the silence with his own effort. But if he was never really invested, your silence will simply expose the reality you didn't want to see. Either way, you win, because you either reignite genuine effort, or you finally get the freedom to stop fighting for someone who was never fighting for you. Silence is not emptiness. It's not weakness. It's power. It's the most elegant way to reclaim your value without saying a single word. And when you master the power of silence and mystery, you stop being just an option. You become unforgettable. One of the most powerful things you can do is make someone regret losing you without ever needing to explain, beg, or argue. True regret isn't triggered by your words. It's triggered by your absence, by your growth, by the way you continue to shine without them. You don't have to chase someone to make them realize what they lost. In fact, the less you say, the louder your silence echoes. Regret begins to grow when your energy is no longer available in the way it used to be. It's when you stop responding instantly. It's when you stop showing up when they expect you to. It's when you remove yourself so quietly that they can't even pinpoint the exact moment you slipped away. And suddenly they're left chasing the version of you they thought they could always keep on standby. When you stop explaining, when you stop trying to make them see your worth, you give them the gift of missing you. You give them the space to realize your value on their own. Because here's the truth. Words rarely change people. Experience does. And the experience of losing you is what sparks real regret. Men are visual. They remember what they see. They remember how you made them feel. And when you step into your glow up, when you start thriving without them, and you stop waiting and start elevating, it leaves a permanent mark in their memory. You don't have to announce that you're doing better. You don't have to post obvious messages trying to get his attention. The real power is in your quiet transformation, the kind he can see but can no longer reach. Your silence is not about punishment. It's about creating distance that forces him to confront what life feels like without you in it. When someone loses daily access to you, when they can't feel your presence, your support, your attention, it's like oxygen being slowly cut off. That's when they feel the difference. That's when they notice the gap they didn't expect to notice. Regret is not something you can manufacture with speeches or ultimatums. It comes when someone is left with their own thoughts, their own decisions, and no distractions to dilute the impact. And in those quiet moments, they start replaying memory. They remember your kindness, your laughter, your support, your patience. And they realize they didn't honor it when they had the chance. What most people don't understand is that sparking regret isn't about turning cold. It's about shifting your focus so fully onto yourself that the energy you once gave to him now fuels your own growth. It's when you invest in your passions, your peace, your physical and emotional glow up. It's when your life becomes so full and so vibrant that your absence from his life becomes undeniable. When you stop chasing, when you stop explaining, you create a powerful silence that invites reflection. You stop reminding him of your worth and force him to remember it on his own. And that memory, that emotional imprint, is far more powerful than anything you could ever say to him directly. The beautiful thing is, by the time the regret fully sets in, you might not even care anymore. Because this journey wasn't about proving anything to him. It was about rediscovering your own value. You'll reach a point where you no longer need his apology, his validation, or his attention. His regret will be his burden to carry, not making someone regret losing you without saying a word is about showing, not telling. It's about becoming so focused on your own growth that you outgrow the version of yourself that would have accepted his bare minimum. That's when you truly win, when you've moved on so deeply that his regret has nowhere to land. If you want to make him chase you again, it's not about saying the perfect words or creating some carefully planned moment. It's about becoming the woman he can no longer reach in the same way he used to. The real power is when you shift the dynamic so completely that he hates to feel the loss of the version of you he once took for granted. You don't make a man chase you by pushing. You make him chase you by pulling your energy back. Men don't chase what feels guaranteed. They chase what feels valuable, what feels slightly out of reach, what they fear they can't easily replace. When you stop giving him emotional certainty, when you stop making him the center of your world, you instantly become more magnetic. The key is that you have to walk away in a way that feels real. Not fake, not staged, not performative. Men can sense when you're trying to trigger them just to get a reaction. That's not what pulls them in. What pulls them in is when you genuinely detach. When your silence isn't a strategy, it's a decision. When you're no longer living for his attention but fully focused on your own life. When he senses that you've stopped waiting, that's when his instinct to chase kicks in. It's human nature. We are drawn to what is moving away from us, not what is sitting still waiting to be chosen. But here's where most women make a mistake. They walk away physically, but they leave their emotional door wide open. They still hope. They still watch his stories. They still overthink his texts. They still wait for signs. But men can feel when you're still emotionally invested, even if you're acting distant. And if they feel that emotional door is still cracked open, they won't rush to pursue you. The door has to close fully. You have to stop waiting. Stop explaining. Stop making yourself emotionally available to someone who hasn't earned that access. That's when the silence starts to echo. That's when he realizes he can't just walk back in the same way he used to. When you focus on your own glow up, when your energy is redirected toward your passions, your peace, your confidence, you become impossible to ignore. When he sees that you're thriving without him, that you're genuinely happy, that your world is still spinning beautifully without his presence, that's when the chase begins. He starts to wonder why you're no longer reaching out, why you're no longer showing up, why your energy feels distant, calm, untouched. He starts to replay his decisions, questioning whether he made the right choice when he treated you like an option. The weight of that uncertainty pushes him to chase. But here's the secret. You're not doing this to get him back. You're doing this to get yourself back. If he chases, it's a byproduct. If he regrets, it's a bonus. But your goal isn't to trigger him, it's to heal you. When you fully embrace that mindset, you take all the power back. You have to become the woman who doesn't settle, who doesn't wait, who doesn't beg to be chosen. You have to live like you are the prize, because you are the woman who is self-fulfilled, who is emotionally grounded, who isn't desperate for attention. That's the woman men can't resist chasing. When you stop overextending, when you become genuinely scarce, when you stop filling the space he left, that's when he feels your absence in the deepest way. And whether he comes back or not, you'll already be winning because you're finally choosing yourself. That's how you make him chase you again. Not with words, not with games, but with the undeniable pull of a woman who knows her worth and is no longer afraid to walk away.